everybody, I'm Dennis Daly. I spent 20 years with United Press International, most of it with the old UPI Radio Network. And my favorite assignment was going on the road producing and hosting American Montage. It was an hour-long weekly program. Now here's an edited version of one of those shows. This week on American Montage, we are talking about one of the most interesting developments in European travel, well, I guess in the history of European travel. It took decades of planning and years of execution to make, but now it's finished. They affectionately here call it the Channel. It is indeed the Channel Tunnel, and an enterprising group of people runs a train that you can take nearly every hour between London, the Waterloo station, and the North Station in Paris. No more taking a train, a car, or a bus all the way to the coast and then getting on a ferry and braving the weather and going across to France and getting on another bus. That seemed to take all day. Now you can go from London or Paris, vice versa, if you wish, for just a day trip, and that's what we're going to do. But first, we're going to talk to Ian Brooks. He is the executive commercial director of the venture, and I asked him what a change in transportation basically the new Channel means for tourists, European tourists, people coming from America, if they want to visit both of those world capitals.
Well, it's just over a year old, so it's very new. The trains themselves are gleaming blue and yellow, sparkling new trains. And I mean, the big difference really is it doesn't feel like a train. First of all, when you're on board, you can't believe you're going so fast, and yet there's no movement, no rattling, incredibly quiet. And the other wonderful thing is that it's just so easy in terms of international departures. I mean, there's no worry about immigration and customs. That's all done on board. It's just like stepping on the London Underground, if you're familiar with that. You put your ticket in, and it comes out the other end, and you walk through, and you're on board the train. So it's so simple.
You know, it's a shame in a way, because there's always been this nice, interesting acrimony between the UK and France. You're so close. I mean, the Channel is not that wide there. But before this, it would have taken, what, either an expensive airline flight or a combination of trains and ferry.
Yes, that's right. I mean, the nice thing about this is it's got the speed, the similar speed of going by air, because you can get from London to Paris in 3 hours, which is similar to going by air when you include driving out from central London or taking the train out to Heathrow or Gatwick or Stansted, and then the hassle factor involved of checking in, etc. So the time is comparable with the plane. But of course, the prices are far more comparable with going on the ferry, which is obviously again quite a hassle and time-consuming journey. So it's the best of both.
Well, I live in Washington D.C., and our Amtrak advertises that it is quicker to go to New York on what we call the shuttle train, the Metro liner, and it is. When as you say, you go from the center of the city to the center of the city, and you don't have to do the whole leave town, go to an airport and queue up. How long would that trip have taken by surface and ferry before the Channel opened?
Well, you're probably looking at more than double the amount of time, because first of all, you'd have to get a train down to Dover, and that obviously stops at many stops on the way, as opposed to the Eurostar, which is a direct service straight down to the tunnel. And then obviously you've got to unload, you've got to get off, you've got to board the ferry. The ferries takes over an hour to cross the Channel, as opposed to 20 minutes on the train under the tunnel. And then you've got the same palaver again at the other end, getting back on to the French trains. So it's half the time by Eurostar. Later on this year, you won't even have to connect. In fact, you'll be able to get what we call a regional Eurostar, which will come from the north of England and stop at points in the Midlands.
So these will be straight through trains?
These trains will go straight through. In fact, they won't even go via Waterloo. They will go the most direct route from the north and the Midlands straight down to the Channel and under the tunnel. And so there's no connecting, there's no getting on and getting off. You board a train in either Edinburgh or Glasgow or Manchester, and you'll stay on it until you get in Paris.
You have different classes aboard?
We do. We have a first-class product, and we have a standard-class product.
Now, this is my first time in Europe, obviously, so first time in London. I would not have been making this day trip over to Paris under the old system. There wouldn't have been time. It would have been an extremely long day.
That's right. Actually, last Saturday, a bunch of us here from the office decided to go and have a fun day out in Paris, and we boarded a train at 10 to 8 in the morning, arrived in Paris before lunch, had a stroll around, had lunch in a fantastic restaurant in Paris, spent the afternoon doing a bit of shopping, walking down by the Seine, and boarded a train sort of 7 o'clock in the evening, and we're back here before midnight. So you can quite easily have a fun day in Paris.
What has been the reaction you've gotten from tourists? What has the feedback been like?
The feedback has been incredibly positive. First of all, people are surprised how easy it is to do, and I think the second thing is the comfort factor. And compared with travelling on the plane where you're bunched up, you haven't got a room. The great thing about the train is you can get up, you can walk around, you go to the buffet carriage, you can stretch your legs. So people have been incredibly positive and just really said, I wish I'd known about it before.
Do I understand that there are plans to increase the rail speed on this side of the channel? Is that coming, and how much shorter will that make the trip when that's completed?
Yes, that is coming, although that's it will be another 6 years until that construction work is finished. It's a £3 billion construction project, so a lot of money going into that. But that will shorten the distance time to under 2.5 hours between London and Paris, and the same for Brussels.
It's such a new venture. You're getting in on the ground floor. You're watching it grow. Personally, what's it feel like?
It's very, very exciting. I think it's even more exciting for the people who are here who started planning it sort of 6-7 years ago. But for myself, who joined recently, it's very exciting. You're at the leading edge of transport.
Well, Ian, thank you. I'm anxious to see what the service is like, and I'll give you a report.
Thanks very much.
I thought you did good.
The Eurostar train is, as we were promised by Ian Brooks, extremely smooth and quick. We whizzed across the English countryside, not as quickly as we will be going when we exit the Channel and go across France. One British rail minister, when he heard criticism that the train is still slow on his side of the Channel, said, well, simply it gives people a better chance to see the scenery. You engage in conversation, and suddenly the lights go out outside. The lights on the train still on, of course, and you know you're under the English Channel. It takes just about 20 minutes to go through the Channel. You exit on the French side, and the train starts going faster and faster and faster. And finally, they tell you it's gotten up to maximum speed.
Mesdames et messieurs, notre conducteur nous informe que nous venons d'atteindre notre vitesse maximale de 60 km/h. Merci. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm being informed by our driver that we've now reached our maximum speed of 300 km per hour. Thank you.
Which translates into a speed of about 186 miles per hour. And so you continue across the French countryside. You have to really look out into the distance. The train is moving so quickly it's a blur if you just look out the window. France is indeed a beautiful country, and there's some lovely parts of the English countryside. And as Ian Brooks of Eurostar told us, in another 6 years the train will be going super fast between the Waterloo station in London and the Channel Tunnel. And so, just about exactly 3 hours after leaving London, you find yourself in Paris.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll soon be arriving at Paris, Gare du Nord, where this service terminates. Please don't forget to take all your personal belongings with you as you leave. We've enjoyed looking after you today and hope to see you again on the Eurostar service.
Just before leaving France, I had gone into the phone booth on the train to see what phone service was like, and as we were about to enter the tunnel under the Channel, in French it said, I think, "This call is about to be terminated. We are going underwater." I decided to see what the screen would say as we came out of the tunnel in England. I was there when it happened. The screen said, "Welcome to British Telecom." And there you have it, another edited episode of one of the American Montage programs prepared for the UPI Radio Network back in the 1980s and 90s. I'm Dennis Daly. Thanks for listening. Thanks for going with me this week. And check YouTube for more American Montage programs.